want to talk about the tragic character arc of Captain Mike Yates. Welcome to the Time Treadmill. I'm Ron, and these are my sweaty thoughts about Doctor Who. From the first appearance of UNIT in the second Doctor story, The Invasion, all the way through what you would consider the core classic UNIT era of the third and fourth Doctor, there are two character mainstays in that organization. That, of course, being Sergeant Benton and the Brigadier, Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. However, there is a third UNIT character that is a regular throughout the third Doctor era, Captain Mike Yates. He is the only other constant in the UNIT universe. All of the other soldiers come and go, but that triumvirate of the Brigadier and Sergeant Benton and Captain Yates, those are the key recurring characters of that era. And of them, Captain Mike Yates is the one with the most tragic storyline. Early on in Yates' appearances, he was treated as a potential romantic interest for Jo Grant, which never actually paid off, but there were several occurrences of the two of them sort of flirting with each other. Ultimately, of course, Jo Grant was married up with a scientist and ran off to the Amazon with him at the end of the Green Death. But the Green Death also marks the key character turning point for Captain Yates. You see, in that story, Mike Yates goes undercover for UNIT. He manages to infiltrate the evil petroleum corporation that's causing the creation of the giant green maggots. And over the course of that story, he has horrific things happen to him. He is brainwashed by an evil computer. He is tortured. He just has a terrible time in that story. And at the end of that story, he leaves UNIT to take a several-month break in order to recover from his psychological injuries. When he reappears in Invasion of the Dinosaur, the big early revelation in the story is that he is the turncoat, that all of that wounding that happened to him, and particularly because it was such an environmental related storyline, all of that turned him into an activist trying to seek a better, sounder, more ecologically balanced world. And that makes sense. And it goes to the heart of what makes a good villain in a story. And make no mistake, Captain Yates is not the key villain in this story. There are a couple other characters that really take ownership in that field. But Yates is there as a collaborator because he believes what he's doing is the right thing, to the point where he believes if he can just confide in the Doctor will see things his way. Unfortunately, the crux of the plot of Invasion of the Dinosaurs is an attempt by several scientists to turn back time on the planet Earth within a narrow field and return Earth to a mythological, pastoral golden age to be repopulated by idealists who, in an odd story twist, believe they've been on an Ark ship heading to another new Earth. When in fact what's really happening is Earth is being completely depopulated and millions of generations of humans are being completely wiped out. It is a horrible, awful, ends don't justify the means kind of plan. And yet, Mike Yates believes it's the right thing for the planet. And that's what makes him such an interesting character, and it's a bold choice for this program. Bear in mind that Doctor Who is a children's science fiction program. It's a morality play. It's very much heightened good and evil, and to have a key character who has been there for years as one of the stalwart leads become one of the villains of the story is a real gut punch, and beautifully done. I love that part of this story. For me, Invasion of the Dinosaurs kind of sits there with The Web Planet in being a story where the show's reach exceeds its grasp. There was no way that the BBC on a 1974 budget was ever going to achieve anything approaching realistic dinosaurs. And they did the best they could with the means they had, and if you look at it with a jaundiced 2020 eye, it looks horrible. But if you look at it from the eyes of a 10-year-old hiding behind the sofa in 1974, these are terrifying monsters that are attacking central London. It is a great story and so much interesting nuance to it. And the whole tragic character arc of Captain Mike Yates just puts the perfect button on that nuance. I would file this away as a Doctor Who story that makes a better read than a watch. And if you have the opportunity to seek out Malcolm Hulke's novelization of his own screenplay, you can see all of the depth and the grandeur and the nuance that he was going for in this story. And I definitely recommend that. But even without that, this is a thoroughly enjoyable story that survives despite all of the flaws and limitations of the era in which it was created. And by the way, several parallels in this story that are still as relevant 50 years later as they were the day it was aired. And on that note, I'm going to call it a day and wrap up this story. I will see you tomorrow with a brand new story.